They told us to give a disclaimer. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the podcasters, any guests, and do not reflect any of the management, owners, sponsorships, or employees of thereof. Pretty much, if you're soft, don't listen to this podcast. One thing I pride myself on is just being the same and trying to look out for my folks along the way.
Like, even with all these, big things happening, like, you still mad humble, and you still, like, you have enough clout now where you could easily be like, I'm not fucking with this, I'm not fucking with that.
Oh yeah, motherfuckers, it's on. Unrestricted podcast listeners, thank you so much for clicking play. Because of you, those numbers are going up, up, and up. Now, if you want to help support this show, if you want to help support this podcast monetarily, you can go on to allrock.com. That's ALLRAWK.com. You can get a hoodie. I'm wearing actually my Weight Down Credit Up hoodie. I'm on a weight loss journey, so if you're somebody that is, on a health journey yourself, man, that's what I stand for, man. Get your weight down, get your credit up. As a father of 3, I'm trying to get my family into a house, so it's important to have good credit. It's important to not only take care of your physical health, but your financial health as well. Allrock.com, you can get one. But, hey, I get it. It's the holiday season. By the time this comes out, it's a new year, and you're probably tapped out on the funds. You can just share, like, comment, subscribe, show love the freeway. All right, now today I got a very special guest in here. This is a brother that is, I don't know if the term never not working is overused, but never not working. I mean, you're always on tour. You just started a new hip-hop group with 2 of your friends. You just had a baby. You just dealt with some real life shit.
Yep.
I mean, you print your own T-shirts. You do it all.
It's starting, man, yeah.
I got Zac Ivie in the studio.
Yeah, what's up, baby? Good to be here, man. Finally, yeah.
Get up on that mic, man. I want people to hear that luscious
1
voice.
2 1 2. What's up, everybody, man?
There you go.
Thanks for having me on the Unrestricted Podcast. What's up, baby?
Absolutely, brother. We did the radio show.
Yep.
Now we're doing the podcast, and I'm just happy that you're here, man. Glad you woke up. As a father with a little one, I know it can't be easy sometimes, but you were telling me off mic that you got a good baby.
Yeah. She sleeps through the night, man. So, we've been very fortunate since about 2 months old. She's been one who can sleep through the night. She loves her sleep. She needs her sleep, and she lets us know. And so I'm just like, hey, I'm with it.
How old is she?
She just barely turned a year in November.
1 year.
Yeah, so she's 12, almost 13 months. So.
Does she run the house?
She runs the house. Yeah. She runs the house. She runs all of our schedules basically, and so we're kind of learning from first time parenthood to balance that. You know what I mean? To balance all those said jobs with becoming a parent, right?
Yeah, because you can't forget about like your why too, and that's sometimes like as a father of 3, sometimes it's hard because it's like. Dad had dreams. Dad has aspirations. Dad has things that he wants to do, not only for himself, but like I want to leave my kids something too.
Exactly. No, I think that's a big fear, in a lot of people who haven't had children yet, right? Is they're like, hey man, maybe I got to stop the things that I'm doing in order to become a parent. And I think it's just more about a balancing act, right? How to balance what you love to do and what you want to do, and then. It really just re-strengthens the why, re-strengthens kind of, what's good about what you're doing and the different jobs that you have. And then, kind of like what you were saying in the intro is just like, you want to leave them something. You want to make them proud. You want to leave them something that they can, go to school and be like, my dad does this, and this. So
my oldest son, he's really into editing right now because he'll see me edit the videos that I do and stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, Dad, have you edited this yet? Can I help with this? I'm like, yeah. Once you learn how to tie your shoes, and then you can jump on Premiere Pro.
Take them Velcro shoes off real quick, and let's see if we can bunny knot real quick.
Exactly. What annual is the turkey food drive that you guys do?
So we teamed up with Tua from KOA Protective Services, and we just did over 300 boxes. We started a Thanksgiving drive 2 years ago, and the first one was really successful. The second one was even more successful, and then this one, obviously, it's just been growing with the people who want to get involved around the city. And so this year was actually cool because my auntie, she's a principal at St. John the Baptist Elementary, and they did a giant school drive, and so each individual classroom was raising food and funds for just Thanksgiving in general. And she was like, I know you do this, and we want to donate everything to you. So actually her new partner, he brought his whole trailer out. He runs like a contracting service, and he emptied all the stuff out of there so that we could just load it up with food and boxes and stuff. And so yeah, we just had a very successful food drive thanks to KOA, Mac Wheels, obviously organized movements, and us and what we got to do. St. John the Baptist Elementary, and a couple other people, the JR Way, Day One. And so it was just great, man. It's cool. It's one of those give back feelings that once you leave the day, you're like, man, we did that.
Yeah.
We did that. It was cool, man.
When you hear the word community, I mean, that's it. You just hit the definition of it.
Yeah. It takes a village. You know what I mean? I don't feel like we could do that as a solo venture as far as like what OM could do or what Get It Right could do. It definitely takes all of us, to get that, especially that many items. And then you still end up leaving and being like, damn, we could have done more. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? There's still people who couldn't make it that early, or people who ask us throughout the day, hey, any more boxes left? And so, there's still work to be done. And that just gives us more room to grow. Yeah. For next year. So
next year I'm down, man.
Let's go, dude. Yeah, let's go. Bring the kids out.
I need the concert now, though. You got to go back to the school. You got to go to the school. You got to throw a concert for the kids.
I'd be down. I don't know if I'm not necessarily like, this isn't R-rated music either, what we're creating. And so, I could see it making it work.
One of my favorite songs from you, I think, doesn't have one curse word.
No.
Change.
No, Change My Ways. Yeah, man.
I don't think it does. I don't think you curse in that song.
I don't think so either. And I've been, especially just moving forward in my music career, like we try to focus on like placements too. That's like another next level, right? Getting sync licensing, landing on like certain films and stuff, which I've yet to do. I've had plenty of friends do it, and plenty of friends kind of step into that world of sync licensing and stuff, and it forces your brain to work a little bit more, instead of fillers or sometimes, I mean, and I tell my students this as Spy Hop too. I'm like, if you can justify why you got to use that word, then I'll let you use that word. But until then, let's dig in, let's dig into the vocabulary a little bit more. Let's see what we can do to get the same point across without, pissing off the uppers at Spy Hop or whatever, which they're pretty lax about it too. Like it's a very judge-free zone. But, still given the current climate of what hip hop music is in or rap music is in, it's easy to get away with just saying some random stuff and swearing away through a 16. So
that's an important thing. I think you and I hope you don't take this wrong, but you as an elder in that space, in the hip hop space within our community, I think that there's a lot of responsibility with that.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't realize that. I mean, in my 20s, I didn't realize that. I thought we were just making music, we're just vibing, but and we say whatever, but then as a father now, you take the father approach. Right. Because my oldest son's in the 6th grade, so I go into his school and I see the influence. Right. I see the influence from the media on how these kids are moving, how these kids are dressing, how these kids are talking. Yeah. And I don't think the people that are influencing these kids realize how much influence they have over them.
No. I mean, and it's an ever-changing type of thing. So, I have some students who year one, when they started out with Spy Hop, they were, for lack of better terms, they were a little bit more on the nerdy side of things, you know what I mean? And now they're stepping into their drill music phase, I should say, or whatever, whatever the current, like I said, climate is. You watch them change, you watch them grow into their swag, their personality, and so you really get to see firsthand. The biggest thing too is like when they're like, "Oh, have you heard this artist?" or "Have you heard this artist?" and I'm like, I'm clueless on this artist, and they're like, "What? They've been out since 2020, 5 years."
Who the hell's Lefty Gunplay?
Yeah, no, and I'm just like, I have no idea who that. Educate me on this, and I start to listen to it, and I'm like, okay, that's where your sound's being developed from. I hear what you're listening to, so, but then I understand that we were that. Mm-hmm. We were that to our parents, and our parents were that to their parents. Like they were probably listening to something back in the day where their parents were just like, "Yo, turn that off. Why are you listening to this garbage?" Yeah. And now that same group is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yep. And so
what the hell's a Crazy Train?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're listening to this guy Ozzy Osbourne. What are you doing?
To eat bats?
Yeah, dude, he just bit a bat. And then now there's a whole culture around that music and influences from Ozzy's band and stuff. And so You know, I try to go into it at least with that attitude of like, hey man, it wasn't it as much as I like to think it was only 3 or 4 years ago. It was probably 10 years ago where I was in the same place. You know,
Isn't that crazy?
Wild. Oh,
how time just goes like that.
It's just gone, man. All of a sudden, you're just like, whoa, what? I mean, even thinking back to when the pandemic was, right? Like, we all try to forget that, but it's like, if you look at things from 2019, it feels like it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was only 5, you know, or going on 6 years. But it's just like, yeah, how quick a decade can pass. And now that having, you know, a daughter at home, it's just like how fast the year went by even. You know, the year, this last year was crazy. And I felt like there were times where I was on the road for, you know, a month at a time and coming back home, and now all of a sudden my daughter's got teeth. She's sitting up on her own. And, you know, that whole 5 months to 6 months or 6 months to 7 months was just like a real eye-opener for me on how fast a month can really change, especially just in the early growth stage of the child, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
does that awakening that you, and I love that you realize it. I love that you're not oblivious to how fast time is moving as a
way
father.
fast. Yep.
Does that change the way that you move and the way that you set up these tours? Because you're about to go on tour in February.
Yeah.
What your group, the Street Sweepers.
Yeah. The Street Sweepers are going on tour in February with Greaves and the Horse Show for the Out Cold. This is their 3rd tour that Greaves has done, the Out Cold tour. Me and Dumb Lucky went on 2 of the 3 so far now, with Ocelot being the addition to the 3rd one. But yeah, man, it totally does. I mean, you plan months in advance of what that's going to look like. And, you know, I have a wife at home who's able to equally see the dream and then take on the responsibility, even though she works full time from home as well. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I think we're blessed in that aspect to where she works from home. Some of my other jobs that I have around town are more me picking my hours, whether it's being a stagehand or print work or teaching at Spy Hop. You know, there's just little increments of time that I can step away from and be able to also still be at home, still be a parent, and still feel like I'm contributing to the, you know, the core of the family, right?
Yeah.
So
I know that you were in Europe, right?
Yeah.
Was that 2024?
That was this year.
Yeah, that was this year.
Yep, that was in June.
Yeah. How was that? How do you even go about being a man in Utah and being like, I'm gonna go to Europe and do this music shit?
Yeah. You know, Europe was beautiful, man. We did over 20 different shows, 23 shows, and 10 different countries. And I think the biggest thing, I mean, there were a lot of culture shocks. You know, going over there and going into just kind of like, okay, I'm traveling to different countries. First of all, what's the language barrier going to look like? Second of all, what does the community as a whole think of hip hop? Because I've done multiple different tours around here with different artists where it's like when you're going on tour with Greaves, you're looking at such a different fan base compared to when you're going on tour with Zion I or when you were going on tour with Master Ace. Mm-hmm. Right? They're spanning across multiple generations. And the one thing that I did find out about Europe was like they're just fans of the music. Mm. You know what I mean? They're just fans of hip hop. And so you were catching kids who are maybe still in middle school or whatever they have out there, you know, like in junior high, they were at front and center at the Master Ace show. Mm. And, you know, whether we were in Poland or Luxembourg or Germany or Croatia, you've seen that everywhere. You just seen fans of the music. You've seen fans of what hip hop was. I think the weirdest thing that kind of like struck me out there when people would come up to me, they would be like, man, like, I cannot wait to come to the U.S. I want to go to Las Vegas. And you're just like, you want to go to where? Yeah. You should go check out Yosemite or one of these other, like, you know, natural phenomenons that we have out here, these national parks and stuff. And because you're going to get to Vegas and you're going to realize like, ooh, and you know, no disrespect to going to like Vegas, but once you get to downtown Vegas, you kind of understand that the hustle, like you're running into 90% tourists there. Mm-hmm. You know, you're not really getting what the local flavor is as far as like, even when you go to Manhattan, you know, when you're walking around Manhattan and stuff, which reminds me equally of Vegas.
Yeah.
You know, I was standing in Times Square seeing the same things that I would see on the Strip in Las Vegas or, you know, somewhere downtown in Los Angeles. You know, just dealing with the insanity, I will say, of like some dude dressed in an Elmo shirt and Spider-Man coming up and asking you if you want a picture and to buy it. And, you know, it's just like, hold on, man. We got to let's get to what Vegas is all about, or let's get to what, you know, New York was all about. I think my even on like the New York trip, like Manhattan was probably my least favorite part about it. You know, being in downtown. It was cool to get there. Like in my brain, though, I always thought this place was going to be bigger.
Yeah.
You know, some of my favorite parts of like being in New York was like walking down the street and going to like the bodegas and getting some real good pizza from out there, or checking out the old architecture. Like I'm a big history buff, and so Europe was a absolute blessing in that aspect. You know,
yeah, man.
Just looking at buildings or churches that are as old as what, you know, America is, as far as foundation wise.
They just rebuilt the Notre Dame.
Yeah.
They just finished it. I think this year they completed it.
Yeah. I think it's open for tours now. I think they finally just completed it, and they're letting people kind of go in and check it out and stuff. And so, but yeah, I mean, yeah, you see it, that was devastating, right? You know, especially before I even got to go visit. It's just like, man, you get to hearing about all these things or watching movies about it, and then you find out that it burns down, and it just reminds you of like how not permanent things are, you know, how not permanent things are. So,
well, even how old Europe is compared to the U.S. We're so young.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of our history is as far as like pre-American history and stuff are cave carvings on the wall, you know, petroglyphs.
Which people are going to fucking up.
Yeah, which people are going to spray paint and stuff. And you know, God bless the community that is.
Salute to the taggers.
Yeah, God bless the community that is the taggers and the graffiti artists and stuff, because I love seeing it resurface and reemerge in my students and stuff. I love watching them, you know, break out their black books and hand styles and stuff. But you know, there seems to be a disconnect when it comes to teaching from, and not saying this is the OG's fault at all, but it's just like they didn't get the memo of like, hey man, let's leave certain stuff alone and let's tag certain stuff. That if you're going to be a vandal, go out and vandalize some things that maybe, you know, aren't somebody's personal thing, or a, you know, 10,000-year-old cave drawing out in freaking Lake Powell or whatever. It's just like, leave that stuff alone.
And I don't think the people doing it realize what they're doing. They don't understand. I think if they had a history lesson, they'd be like, holy shit, like, what am I doing?
They say, whoops, man, I didn't mean to go spray paint on this, because this is the Anasazi or whatever. This is a Navajo cave drawing, and all of a sudden I'm over here spray painting over it because I want to get my name up or whatever. Yeah. I'm out on vacation and brought my markers. So
when you're in Europe and you're rhyming your rhymes, are they? And this might be a really ignorant question, but are they comprehending the English? Like, are they comprehending what you're saying? Do they, I guess, understand English?
Absolutely. I mean, and that was so back to kind of me being like, hey, man, what's the language barrier going to look like? When I landed in Berlin, I was, you know, and I got on my Duolingo, 600 days right now of Duolingo practicing. And I did about 2 months of German before I left. And when I landed in Germany, I didn't need it at all. Especially like West Germany and stuff, like they all spoke English. Wow. They all spoke English. They were all coming up to me just like, oh man, your song about this. And it was really surprising, you know what I mean? But a lot of these people too would come up to me and say, you know, I learned to speak English because I wanted to understand what Liquid Swords was about, or what Master Ace's, you know, song Born to Roll was about, or any of these other songs. And so, you know, you just understand the influence that hip hop is in general worldwide. You know, it went from some boroughs to national wide to worldwide.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Like you think about where it's birthed, like in the Bronx, and it's like, what the hell?
And now it's just everywhere. And so, yeah, man, they were completely comprehending, you know, what we were going down. And actually, I did a record with a dude Boski out in Poland, and he does, you know, the hook in Polish, a verse in Polish, and then another verse in English, you know, and he was just like, I want you to check my English. Like, how does it sound? I know it's going to sound a little, you know, maybe corny or whatever, but he's like, but, you know, full conversations, full FaceTimes in English, and I didn't have to learn Polish at all, you know? So I was like, hell yeah, dude, this is cool, man. I'm glad that, you know, they have that aspect of like, because a lot of people were just taught English in school as well. Yeah. You know, they were learning English alongside learning German. And I've noticed that kind of in some of my younger nieces and nephews now. They're teaching Spanish alongside English lessons and stuff. So they have their own Spanish class, which I think is fantastic. Just because that's our neighboring country. You know what I mean? And that's something that's important for us to learn, just so that, I mean, at one point in time, right, Mexico was here.
Yeah.
You know, Utah was Mexico. California was Mexico.
Texas.
All the way up. Yeah. And so, you know, it's very important to bridge that gap, because what I think that'll do in the future is just remind us that we're not so different. You know, even given the current political climates that we're in and stuff, it's like you gotta also acknowledge that, like, that's your neighbor.
Yeah.
And being on the farm and stuff, it's like you learn to love your neighbor. You know what I mean? Because they're going to help you fix the fence. They're going to help you get your horses back in if they break out or whatever. Kind of sidetracking on the farm stuff. But yeah, man, you just learn that, like, yeah, man, we're not so different. We're people here on the earth floating around through space trying to figure out, like, and if the language barrier is the thing that's keeping that, then let's go ahead and just fix that from the jump.
They say that music is universal. It's a universal language, right?
Yeah.
Everybody can feel in the same emotion or a different emotion off of the music that they're hearing. Do you feel like the European shows are different than the U.S. shows? Or do you feel like it's the same type of vibe?
I guess it just really depends on the crowd, man. Like, so what I feel like is specifically like with the Master Ace crowd, you know, when we were touring out here earlier in 2023 in August, we went on tour out here, and I feel like there's a disconnect between the younger generation and the OGs, right? The old head, the people who grew up on that music, and a lot of those guys who did grow up on that music either were rapping themselves or were, you know, more purist in the aspects of like what they thought hip hop was, and so, you know, being a new guy on stage or being a younger voice in comparison to maybe even what some of the listeners were looking like, you know, out there in the crowd, a lot of the listeners in the U.S. were older than me. And I felt like there was just this kind of, there was more or less like a view of it of being like, well, I could have done that because I rap too. You know what I mean? Whereas like when I went over to Europe, the shows were more packed. The average person who was there listening or buying merch was just a fan of the music and not necessarily like, oh, I rap too, or, oh, I do this as well. And so I think that was like my biggest eye opener as far as like, wow, these guys are just fans of the culture, you know, of what it is to rap and stuff. And so, you know, the difference in maybe what some of the songs, because I've also felt that same, like, wow, these guys are fans of the music, with different touring groups that I've been with. So with Greaves and those guys, and they usually have packed shows. They have a younger listening base. And so those guys also are showing love, you know. And granted, every city that I've been in has shown me love, whether it's the majority of the crowd or whether it's just a few guys who came up to me at the merch booth and were like, hey, man, I really like what you're doing. You know, let's connect, let's get an interview or something like that. And so, but yeah, as far as just like overall enjoyment of what hip hop is as a whole, whether it's older or newer music, I almost want to say there was like a discontent from the newer music. Like out there, they were more pure in the fact of like they know what hip hop is, and then they know what trap is, or drill music, or any of the other subgenres. You know, they were just a fan of like what boom bap was and what authentic hip hop music was. And so, you know, I'm not trying to say that the new stuff isn't authentic, but what I will say is there was just you know, there was a time where hip hop music wasn't necessarily about bankrolls and watches and flashy shit, you know what I mean? Yeah. It was more or less just about storytelling and stuff. And so they really did appreciate that more, and I felt heard. You know, where there were times on tour out here where I was just like, these guys aren't listening to me. They're just like,
They're just waiting for the guap money guys.
Yeah. Either they're waiting for the guap money guys, or they're just like, you know, like, again, back to well, I could have done that.
Yeah.
You know, I rap too. I got bars.
I want to see you do it.
Yeah.
And I say this all the time, and artists out here, if you don't mention one artist, they get really upset.
Oh, yeah.
And anytime I bring up Zac Ivie, and I don't know what it is, but they're like, why him and not me?
Yeah,
I'm like, well, Zac's a good guy. He's a great father. He's a husband. He also works his ass off. and he's doing way more. He's moving,
Man,
and he can rock a damn show.
I ran into those guys, man, and when I say those guys, there's been a number of times in this career where people have came at me sideways on a track or came at me sideways on social media, and then within the next couple of months they actually met me and were like, oh man, I didn't mean any of that, you know what I mean? Or we fostered a friendship, or coming up to me at a show and just be like, my bad for saying all that stuff, I didn't mean it, I had anger somewhere else. And so, I try to let that just kind of, I try to let it slide. I'm not going to act like I don't get up in my feels about it, because I'm human too. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Where I'm just like, these motherfuckers, all right.
They just don't know.
All right, but at the end of the day, the only thing that I can do is move for me, move for my family, my friends, and try to put on for the place that I live in. That was one of the biggest things too when I was out there in Europe, is just like, I loved telling people where I was from. Mm. Because they know of the Vegas, they know of the Los Angeles or the Manhattan or the, Florida, Miami. They know of all these places, but not a lot of people know that, like, Utah is home to some of my favorite music. I have a lot of artists who are my peers out here that I listen to regularly because I enjoy their music. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter to me. And then also even going into just like the views, the mountains that we have behind our city, the fact that you can travel X amount of hours and be just in straight nature, mm-hmm. nothing around, just beautiful nature, trees, lakes, arches, all that stuff. And so, I was really proud of where I was from because of where I came from versus where I was at, is not like the norm.
Yeah,
there have been plenty of artists who have made it out of here, or plenty of artists who are national artists out of Utah, but it's not in necessarily this genre. And so it was cool for me to go out there and take the next steps as an artist, to take the next steps as a human, and to just go travel. You know what I mean?
Do you, in this, I wish more people would see that, but I also wish artists like you would show it.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we have social posts, but like, make a whole fucking mini vlog, a whole mini series of what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to see you in Europe. I want to see you going across the West Coast or going down south, right, or whatever it is.
Right.
I want to see the story being told, because especially in our genre of what Utah is and what we've been building for a very long time.
Right.
It's been done in micro doses.
Right.
But it hasn't been done on a way where we can follow this journey step by step.
Yeah, I think that was a big thing of us coming into. So Ocelot told me that he's got a dude who's got one of the, like a Tubi channel, and he's got like a half-hour segment that's open and kind of ready for, in my view, something like that. You know what I mean? Like a tour vlog of kind of what we're getting ready to go up with, as far as the Alco tour. I think the biggest thing for me is just trying not to make it seem like it's too self-serving.
Fuck that, Zach.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, all this shit is I just talked about doing a fundraiser.
Yeah.
Didn't take one dime for it.
No.
But now all those people know that if they ever need photos again, they can come back here and we can do family photos, right?
Yeah.
Like, it self-serves me, but it's also like I helped out too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear that.
It's the same thing with Get It Right and everything you guys did with the turkey drive.
Yeah.
Some families didn't get it this year.
Yeah.
But next year they know, hey, we'll be back.
Yeah, we'll be back. I mean? Yeah. I like that, man. I think as far as what's in my wheelhouse and what's in my and I sit here and I try to like dance around like man, like I don't know how to, but it's like really I'm signing that contract unknowing to myself that like I don't believe I can do it in the aspects of like I'm not a videographer, I can't edit shit like that or whatever.
I've seen it.
But I can, yeah, exactly. So it's like
I even offered to help you.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. I know. That's where it's just
I said, just send me the video.
I'm trying not to when I say that, like I get so used to doing it all. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so in that aspect, I'm just like, man, I'm not trying to lean on other people or give other people more work, because and then I see what you're doing, I see what you're doing as far as how busy you are interviewing people or being on the radio or, taking care of yourself, your family, weight up or credit up, weight down, and so I think in that aspect, it's just like, you don't ever want to be a burden. You know what I mean? You also want to show your own strengths as far as like, hey man, we've been independent for so long that you just get used to doing it all. And so I think, you know, in this conversation, in this moment right now, it's just like, hell yeah, dude, there's no reason why we shouldn't. Cause I did
and there's 3 you motherfuckers in
this group.
So all 3 of you guys could take a little bit of something.
Yeah. I think, and too, in this moment, it kind of reminds me of when, you know, we heard about the Tubi half-hour thing. It was like, there's a way where we can utilize the AI tools that we have to give us a structure on how to do certain things and then continue to just fill in the gaps, right? Yeah. And so I did do that, actually. I got like a full breakdown of kind of what we would look like if we were to document it, right? To develop a tour documentary and to figure out like what are the suspense moments that we need, what are the wins, the hype, how do we build up certain things in order to make it digestible to people and make people want to stick around and find out what these boys from Utah are all about, you know?
Yeah, and then on top of that, it feeds your audience.
Yeah.
And you got to feed your audience.
Yeah.
Your audience are fiends, right? They're scratching themselves. They need more dope. And how do you give them more dope? You give them more content. Content.
Yeah.
And the more content you get, now you can monetize it.
Yeah.
I know that people hate the word monetization. The people hate the word money, especially when you correlate money to art.
Exactly.
But you guys are feeding your families off of this. Like, we got to take it there.
Yeah.
Like, we have to figure out, okay, how's this tour going to make us money?
Yeah.
Is it merch? Is it new music that we do on the road? Is it a Patreon where we're giving them this behind-the-scenes content that they can only get if they pay $5 a month?
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's all of it. Yeah, man. It's definitely all of it. And that's one thing that, you know, especially diving into a group, we all have different ideas of what we want out of this. And so I would be foolish to say that there haven't been moments where we've kind of all, I don't want to say gotten under each other's skin, but we're definitely still trying to find out the compromise as being individual artists versus now forming a group and hey, everyone's got an idea of what this should look like, what this is going to look like. And so where do we find the middle ground? Because, you know, at the end of the day, we want to make sure that, again, we're coming back home to feed our families based off of the artwork that we do. And I fully dove into that years ago. You know, years ago, I was like, all right, this is how we're going to get our business down.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I know to Dumb Luck, he's a workhorse. He's got multiple jobs. He's out there battling. He's out there writing rhymes, producing himself, filming his own music videos, editing.
Multi-talented.
Yeah, huge. And so
that motherfucker's a producer. You guys got a producer on the road with you.
In-house, yeah.
Why are we making beats on the road and fucking the Get It Right Cypher in each city?
Yeah.
But it's not us. Street Sweepers presents the Get It Right Cypher with
boom. With this
little
artist,
guy and
with
this
that
guy.
artist, yeah, exactly. Nope.
All more content, man.
Write that down, dummy. You heard me? Write that down, Ocelot. All right, cool.
Are you sick of podcasts that just interview people with the same questions and gossiping nonsense?
Are you tired of hearing about what's wrong with the world? Can you locate your nearest orphanage?
Who cooked the Last Supper?
R.I.P. Mr. Potato Head.
Seppuku Harakiri.
Where is Mavis Beacon?
This is Hos.
And this is host Beefy.
Listen to the Beans and Rice podcast.
Exclusively in Braille and all streaming platforms.
Patent pending.
No pukesters helping me to the left, and no pukesters helping me to the right. Didn't need them then, don't need them now.
You are the ex-champion, Olin.
Now this is the way, Tony and David, that you do the figure 4 leg lock.
You love wrestling.
Do you believe that Stone Cold Steve Austin is the greatest entertainer of all time?
Or maybe that Shawn Michaels is the sexiest man alive.
Or did you have a thing for Sonny from the years of 1994 to 1996 like I did?
Did you know Yokozuna isn't even Japanese?
If you could count the number of dimples on Rikishi's ass, this podcast is for you.
Follow us, the Figure 4 Podcast on Instagram, at Figure 4 Podcast. And check us out on YouTube.
Do it.
Tell your punk friends about us.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, you're probably listening to the Unrestricted Podcast with Dre Rawka.
We are?
No, they are.
Yeah, oh, right.
Oh, wow.
And I'm the real Ruby. You can catch me and Fonzie and the
Funk.
G Daddy Funk on Let's Talk It One Podcast. Yeah, but I think you have to come in more smoother, more funnier. Like, yeah, they could catch us on the Lake Talk 801 podcast.
Yeah, y'all can catch us on the Lake Talk 801.
Yeah, and we'll be like, and yeah, man, hey, and they can catch people like me, the real Ruby, and people like you, Fonzie, and people like him, G Daddy Funk,
Wow,
on
that's
the
a
Lake
lot of
Talk
people.
801. Who cares?
What'd he say?
Huh?
I didn't hear him.
I don't know, but this probably should be the ad.
Are these on?
Catch a new episode every Monday on all streaming platforms. The Lake Talk 801. Tune in now.
So, we got the tour coming up. You mentioned the group. You mentioned that it's never gonna. You butt heads at times. Why a group? Why does Zac Ivie feel like he should be a part of a group?
You know, I think it was just a natural next step. You know, in the aspects of, obviously we all do our own solo stuff, and we all still will continue to do our own solo stuff.
Is Ocelot still doing the rock music?
Ocelot does. So me and Ocelot have actually kind of teamed up with some other people over by the airport. There was a dude who hit me up on Instagram, Connor, and he was just like, you know, like, I've been following you for a minute. I'm a drummer. We've got like a full band. You know, what are the things you're looking for? I'd love to create you something. And this is right after Ocelot just got done performing at the Limp Bizkit show. And, you know, in my brain, I was like, you know, like, I could say, hey, man, we want to do this, like, jazzy, you know, funk stuff that, you know, the benefits of having a live band. You know, you're like, damn, I want to sound like the Roots. I want to sound like these people. But there was something inside of me that was like, now let's do something different. And so, you know, we've kind of gotten together with this group and have started producing more of like a new metal sound, a little bit more hip hop meets metal.
Is this like a rage sound or no?
In the sense, in a sense, I would say we're not as politically charged up as Rage Against the Machine is
yet. Once you hit your 40s,
you know, but yeah, we'll see how this next 4 goes. But you know, like, in the aspect of just kind of letting it out in that way. And so I've really been stoked on the sounds that we've been creating. I got a lot of good feedback off of the reel I did off of the verse that was for it. That was for one of the songs. And so now we're just kind of continuing on and just seeing what that avenue presents at the time. I think I'm still in the lane of like, I keep my stuff mostly clean in that aspect so that there is a possibility that we can end up on a UFC game or an NFL commercial or anything, you know what I mean, on ESPN. And so, but it was real natural for Ocelot to go into that sound. And when I got asked like, hey man, this new metal stuff, you know, how are you feeling? I was like, there's only one dude who I really want to bring in that aspect, and that's the dude who I know who's done that, who's listened to that, and who understands the genre a little bit more than I do. Because I can't even honestly say that I listened to that totally growing up. You know, of course we listened to Linkin Park, of course we listened to Rage and things, but there's so many more new metal groups that were out there that I didn't listen to at all, like huge ones. Like I wasn't listening to Korn or any of these other groups that kind of do that. Like
Korn is so hip hop, people don't realize it.
They're way hip hop.
That's why that's why I lean towards Linkin Park. All the alternative stuff, Korn, Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, like those groups. If you really even you can do it to country right now. Like even country has a little bit of a hip hop ear to it.
Yeah, it's starting to what's the dude's name? Shabuzi, man. He had that huge hit that came out. It was everywhere.
I mean, it is hip hop. It was Tipsy.
It's hip hop.
He country Tipsy.
It was, man.
It's awesome.
He better give Chingy his props too for that, because you know that was. But
I took you off the train of thought for why a group though. Sorry. So why a group for Zac Ivie?
Yeah, man. We just
you put that. I don't want it to take focus off of your face.
No, my bad. No, I think why a group is just we're all so strong individually that why not take it and Megatron it or what's the Power Ranger?
You got Megatron. Oh no, Megazord.
Yeah, Megazord. Yeah, why don't we link up our individual strengths and see where that pushes us as far as just who we know, who our network is. I mean, Ocelot's network is so different and vast compared to mine. My network is expanding, but still so different than Ocelot's, and my strengths are in some aspects that his aren't. And same with Dumb Luck. You know, like Dumb Luck as Dumb Luck has been a powerhouse for so long that, you know, it was just like, yeah, dude, we've all got these huge things about us and cult followings as far as like people who really do rock with us, that if we combine them together, there is a blend because we've been working so long together that like some Dumb Luck listeners listen to me. A lot of Zac Ivie listeners do fuck with Dumb Luck and Ocelot. And so it's just like, yeah, like I think the group was just kind of one of these things where we're like, we're all making music together anyways. Why not just bring it under one name and see what we can do with it? You know, as far as songwriting, as far as getting music done and stuff too, it just makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
You know, 116 from each of us, and you've got a 3-verse track.
Yeah.
You know, and it fast tracks music, it fast tracks and then again, overall fan bases can just kind of come to one place and be like, oh, nice, this is what we want to hear. This is the type of music we want to listen to.
Can I say, I am very disappointed the Street Sweepers haven't been on a Street Sweeper yet.
Yeah.
I need the promo of you guys driving a street sweeper.
Yeah.
Or Zamboni or something.
I'm down, dude. Like, I've been trying to find them. They'll pop out of nowhere. It's crazy because, you know, like when you get a new car or you're like, hey, man, I want to get a new car and I want it to be this, you start seeing that car everywhere, right? Yeah. It's the same thing, dude. I'd be driving down the middle of nowhere and just be like, a street sweeper? You don't say. And it just feels, it's like a sign to me, you know what I mean? It's one of those signs where you're just like, yeah, we're on the right track.
And then that's when you guys get the fucking jumpsuits with the street sweeper little badges.
Yeah.
And then you fucking do a promo video.
Yeah, we got the jumpsuits ready. That was probably one of the first things we got outside of, you know, beats from Dumb Luck and some verses down, is we definitely were like, hey, man, we need to get some Dickies jumpsuits and we need to take those out on tour so that we can, you know, just kind of have a show. You know, I feel like the biggest thing that's missing in hip hop is just like a routine on stage sometimes. A lot of people just show up with their, you know, with their fit and then they rap and then that's it. And then they expect the more. And I think for me, as far as like what I was looking for or what I look to hopefully add to the group is just like, how do we get a routine down? What certain steps are we going to do to make the show look like it's that much more put together and presentable for people? And so, you know, we already got because we just did the Echo show not too long ago at Soundwell, and we wanted to test out all new material. And so we did a full set of like all of our new material. We've got about 5 songs done right now. And so, and then from then we had some footage of it, and Greaves hit us up and he was like, yo, you guys better bring the jumpsuits on tour.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's what we got them for. Yeah, we're going to bring the jumpsuits on tour. We're going to, you know, we're going to kind of dive into what it means to be like a working MC. I think the Street Sweepers was also kind of a play on just cleaning shit up. You know what I mean? Cleaning up the stage that we're on, cleaning up the industry a little bit more, and just letting people know that, hey, man, like, we're here to...
Whoever you guys come after, pause. Like, that's going to be wild because they're going to be like, what, you guys saying we ain't good?
We're going to be like, yeah, dude, come mess with our show, and then we'll see if you're good. You know what I mean?
That could be the whole skit. It's like, you got your... Is Ocelot DJing for you?
Yeah, he's DJing and rapping. Yeah.
Have him fucking start it off, whistling, sweeping the fucking stage.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, there's so many cool things that you can do to put together a cool show.
Not to give too much away, but I think it's going to be like Ocelot. You know, Ocelot's kind of like the shop foreman, and me and Dumb Luck are the new hires, right?
Okay.
And, you know, at first we initially come in probably listening to some bullshit, you know, making sure that, like, you know, listening to some stuff that maybe not be approvable for everybody. And then it just comes into the aspect of like, no, this is how we got to do it. Let's try it like this. Let's see if we can, you know, create a more clean sound. Not even clean in the aspects of like rapping about clean shit, you know, but more or less just like how do we take it back to the drinkable pure water that is hip hop music. You know what I mean? So yeah, not to give too much away from the show, but that's kind of the route we're going as far as that's looking. So
February is the tour. Where are you guys heading?
So February 6th, we fly into Spokane. We do Oregon. We'll do Spokane, Washington, then go into Oregon, then come back up, and then work our way down to like, we'll do Arizona, we'll do Utah, we'll do Los Angeles, Colorado, a couple dates. Like I said, California's got a couple of dates, so Los Angeles, San Diego. And we'll just kind of work our way down. Yeah, work our way down the list.
Is this tour running through summer or?
No, this tour will just go for 1 month. So we'll leave the 6th and we will get back the 23rd or 24th. Yeah, I think our last show's in Los Angeles. So
damn, you missing Valentine's Day?
Yeah, I know. My girl's birthday too is on the 12th. So you know, damn. But the show is, so her birthday's the 12th. We get back. We play Salt Lake City the 13th. And so, you know, like hopefully by then I found a cool gift on the road that I can get her from one of the other spots, you know.
go.
Yeah, that's what that was what I liked about when I was traveling to Europe. I was like, well, I'm going to go buy this from this store and buy some chocolates from, you know, Switzerland and just all the things that I could bring home back to the family. So, yeah.
That's dope, man. That's thoughtful. You guys got to get brooms for merch.
Yeah.
That'd be sick. I'll buy a broom.
You buy a push broom
Hell
from the
yeah.
street sweepers? Yeah, see? Yeah. I don't know logistically, I don't know how we going to fit that, but you know, we could probably get like 15 brooms in the truck and make them all stack.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think for like as far as like so like kind of how the backdrop is here, you know, like I want to create like a vinyl drop down that's like a locker, and then another one, or get a garbage can from each venue and be like, all right, cool, this is what our stage is going to look like as far as the show.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Greaves travels with the whole package. He sets up his lights, he sets up everything, and so he's got like the full production as far as that's concerned. But with me and Ocelot kind of being in the production world and stagehand world, we get that. We see that. And so I think, you know, adding as far as the jumpsuits and stuff, we want to have some sort of scenery that makes it look like you're in a locker room or a break room and you're out there sweeping, you know, you're the janitorial service.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think some brooms might be the next spot, dude. We might have to go to the dollar store real quick.
Yeah, hit the Dollar Tree up.
Yeah, dude. Clean them out, you know, clean house. No, not to joke about any more cleaning, but yeah, dude, we'll clean house on that.
No, man, I hate going to Dollar Tree, and the thing that I want is wiped out because some DIY mom bought all the wire piping shit. Like, how am I supposed to make my son's fucking Valentine's Day box?
Yo,
you guys cleared out the whole section.
Every single one's gone. You kidding me right now? But I mean, hey, I get it.
Yeah,
there was a time where the Reams by me was going out of business, and I walked in there, dude, and I bought. I cleaned them out of extension cords. They had them for like $4.
Oh, yeah.
They had like 12 of those things. And this is when my grandpa was still around. And I told him, I was like, man, I sent him a message and I was like, you're not going to get these for that cheap ever again. You know what I mean? And by the time he didn't answer my phone call when I first called him and said, hey, do you want some of these? And by the time I left the store, he called me, but I had already bought them all because I knew he was going to call me. Yep. I knew I was going to get that phone call. So I was like, don't even worry. I've got you 10 extensions cords, you know. You have 400 feet of extension cord now, so here we go.
Man, I used to run havoc in that Reams.
That's over there on the state. Yep.
25th.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I didn't realize that the owner. So I knew the owner's mother-in-law. I used to work with the owner's mother-in-law.
Right.
And she was like, "Did you know that the headquarters is literally right behind it?" I was like, "What?" Yeah, right behind that Reams. There's you can go by it. There's a fence and it's like, yo, this no trespassing. Like, it's a serious thing.
That's the headquarters.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, that's where Rims is.
Because right now it's just, I mean, it's been empty for the past couple of years. I think this was in like 21 or whatever. It finally like closed down. And so, you know, you kind of wonder what they're going to do with that building. I see it, and also shouts out to the taggers. That's one, hey, I'm just saying, that's a big old giant canvas if you look at it. Yeah. But yeah, it's just an eyesore right now as far as South Salt Lake's concerned. It's just like this big empty building, you know. But you're kind of seeing that with the whole block, you know. Other businesses are getting bought out. Yeah, they're shutting down, and then new businesses are popping up. And so I'm curious to see kind of what it'll look like within the next 5-10 years.
Have you went into that bakery?
Which one?
The one right by Family Dollar?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I haven't been there either. But so it was Thanksgiving 2019 maybe.
Yeah.
And there was one thing that I needed. I forget what it was. But I was like, damn, maybe it was bread. I don't know. It was something really silly.
Right.
And I couldn't find it. I didn't want to go into Smith's or whatever.
Just a regular store, yeah.
Yeah, so I drove by and I was like, man, that bakery's too expensive for me.
Pola.
Yeah, too expensive right now. So Zach, man, you recently dealt with some health shit, man.
Yeah.
You had a health scare.
Yeah, man.
What happened?
So performing in Atlanta, and we build shows all across the United States with Cody Walker, and that is Paul Walker's brother of Fast and the Furious.
Wow.
And so
the one that looks just like him?
Looks just like him, yep. The one who was also in the movie. And so Cody Walker he throws a festival in different states called Fuel Fest. And Fuel Fest is a giant car show, but it's also like a festival. So they'll do shows, like they'll have like usually like a musical guest who will come up and perform. And then the show kind of commences. A hella cars, over 300 cars, you know what I mean? Vendors, booths, food, all the shit. And then also a performing act. And so I was performing in Atlanta, and then we had also booked Master Ace as the headliner. I know the talent buyer. He's a really good friend of mine. Danny Bateman.
Oh, yeah, shout out to Danny.
Yeah, Danny Bateman's the man. Yeah, dude. And so I had a 40-minute set. And during the 40-minute set, I was noticing that just my voice was getting so tired, and normally, and I've dealt with it before as far as like when I was teaching kickboxing classes for 3 hours every night, 5 days a week. I knew what like voice fatigue kind of felt like. And so, this just felt different. And so kind of just palpating my neck and feeling things out. I was like, oh man, what the heck is that? Thought it might be a lymph node that was swollen or something. Got back here. I visited an urgent care, and the urgent care was just like, well, maybe it's laryngitis, let's just take it easy on your voice, give it about a month. If it doesn't go away, go back to an ENT and let's get it figured out. A month went by, and I still was kind of feeling the sensation, and I could still feel like something in my neck, like a bump, and I was just like, what the hell is this? Kind of starting to get a little nervous now. So I visited the ENT. And upon visiting the ENT, they had noticed that they had discovered a nodule on my thyroid. And, initially looking at like a thyroid nodule is not too alarming in the sense of like a lot more people get them than what we think. However, a lot of the times those guys can't feel them. They either notice because they've got like a different skin or, they're feeling fatigued. And so they develop what's called like hypo or hyperthyroidism, where your thyroid is not kind of producing the right hormones to your body. And so like I was kind of unaware of all the jobs that the thyroid did. So when they discovered this, right, so the thyroid controls things like your appetite, your energy level, your irritability, your hormone, like other types of hormones. And so upon visiting the ENT, a month had went by, nothing had really changed. I went to the ENT. They were like, hey, we think we've found a nodule on your thyroid. Let's go to Huntsman's and let's get it scanned and get an ultrasound on it. So then from the ultrasound, they got a look of what it looks like, and they were like, and they definitively said, yeah, it's on your thyroid. This is a nodule. This is the size. And because of the size of it, they kind of skipped a couple other steps. They were like, again, like I said, 90% of them are benign. You don't even worry about them. They're just like, yeah, let's just watch your energy levels. Maybe you've gained weight way fast or dropped weight way fast. That's kind of going to determine whether you're hyper or hypo. I went to Huntsman's. They scanned it. And then from there, based on size alone, they scheduled what's called FNA, a fine needle aspiration. And so that's another ultrasound that you go to, and then they take cell samples from it. So, you'll lay there on the screen, looking at the screen. They'll go over your thyroid, and then from there, they'll take needles, inject it, withdraw cells, send it to a pathologist. The pathologist came back about a week later, and this was during Thanksgiving, so kind of just still in like the limbo mode. I was kind of just like, okay, everything's good. Let's just keep on the doctor's appointments and shit.
Are you feeling anything physically?
No. Okay. Like I can feel it.
Yeah.
But as far as like the normal symptoms in which a person who maybe has discovered this should feel, I wasn't really feeling it. And from my understanding too, there's not a lot of symptoms aside from like energy levels that might be affected. And so the fine needle aspiration came back, and it came back as atypia of undetermined significance, which essentially just means like weird shit's going on. We don't know what it is. And you can essentially get 3 different results back. You can get, hey man, this is malignant. Hey man, this is benign. Or hey man, some weird stuff's going on, but we don't know what it is. And I got the middle one. So from there, they send it off to get further testing. And then that further testing came back, and it just said that there's a 75% chance that it's cancerous. And, obviously being a dad and being, just a new father and being a performing artist, you're just like, oh, something in my neck is cancerous. This is not good, as far as, that news. So it was like heavy, man. At first, the first couple of days, I was just like, man, like, what are we looking at? This is crazy, because it very rarely happens to men, and very rarely is it ever cancerous. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a 90% chance that we were looking at something that was just completely benign. And so from that kind of result, we got fast-tracked to visiting a surgeon. And then from there, fast-tracked to a surgery day. So my surgery is scheduled January 9th. They are going to remove half of my thyroid, the right side of my thyroid. And then from there, I think we're good. I think there's a very good chance that I shouldn't need to be on medication my whole life. The benefits, I guess, and when you say benefits of having this type of cancer is, it's curable. It's very curable. There's not necessarily a need for things like chemotherapy or other like crazy treatments. Thyroid cancer generally stays within the thyroid. Surgery's usually the way to go. And then from the other ultrasounds and stuff that I was looking at, like all my lymph nodes surrounding it were okay. My parathyroid glands were okay, and it seemed like it was just localized to my right side. And so that's what's called a lobectomy. And so, just trying to stay grateful and in the aspects of like, hey man, this is because multiple doctors kind of told me, they were like, man, if you're gonna get cancer, this is the one. Damn. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, oh, nice. That's cool.
Reassuring,
yeah,
Doc.
Very reassuring, Doc. Thanks. But from my understanding of it all, is it's just like surgery is the way to go. They'll go into my neck. They'll cut out the half of the mass, and then they'll give it a full biopsy, which will then be able to be told like, hey, this is definitively cancer, or there's still a 25% chance that it's not, that it's benign, and that they just go in there and remove the nodule. I think the big things that kind of concern me and still concern me, in that aspect is like it sits right on your larynx. It sits right on your laryngeal nerve. My bad. I'm still learning. Okay. But yeah, so it sits right on top of your voice box. And so that's why my voice was so tired, is because of the nodule that was there. And then, there's like a 1 to 3% chance that they could permanently damage that nerve, and my voice wouldn't be the same ever again. And so, yeah, it got heavy. It got pretty heavy, but I was just like, like 1 to 3% chance that they do that. And going in and talking to my surgeon, I was like, well, I just want to let you know what my profession is, so that you know what you should take extra good care of when going in there. And he said, yeah, that's usually like the first thing they do. They cut your neck open, they go in, they find that nerve to make sure that they don't damage your vocal cords. And then from there, they'll take the nodule out. And then it's an outpatient surgery, so I'll be home that day.
Oh, nice.
With it being done in January 9th, they usually say it's like, up to 2 weeks of recovery time, but about 10 days. And not super like heavy on like the medication or anything like that. Most people can just get it with like anti-inflammatories, Tylenol, ibuprofen.
So you'll be good by the tour day.
And then be good by the tour, yeah. So I think coming forward, it's just like, yeah, man, you just got to remind yourself that, like we were saying earlier, that like, shit, man, every day is like, this is a gift, bro.
Yeah.
This is a gift.
You don't take it for granted. Like, live your life, Yeah. You don't know what can happen tomorrow. You don't know what can happen today. Like,
it's crazy, man. Like I said, that was the last thing. I was like, dog, there are people out here who eat McDonald's every day and smoke rocks.
Yep.
And are cooling. You know what I mean?
What can cause this thing? I mean, you're a healthy guy, right?
Yeah, I have no clue, man. I think sometimes your cells just go, hey, this is different. You know what I mean? And they start to just replicate differently. And so I don't know if there's necessarily like a thing I did that was like a cause, or a thing that I wasn't doing that was a cause, So I think just moving forward, it's like, they'll ask you too, is there any history of like thyroid cancer in your family, which can usually attribute to that shit or whatever. And it's like, none of that shit was in my family.
Yeah. So
like, I'm the one now who adds that to like my daughter and stuff, where like, if they ask her, hey, is any of this in your family? She's got to say, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but I think just taking overall good care of your health, man. Balanced diet. I know we hear it all the time, but it's just like, eating healthy fats and fatty omega-3s that'll help stimulate thyroid growth, or not thyroid growth, but like thyroid wellness. Staying active is huge, and just making sure that you're hydrated and flushing things out of your body that you should normally do. Mm-hmm. I mean, and overall too, when we're talking about health and stuff, it's like, it wasn't ever like a complicated regime that we were giving our kickboxers and stuff either. It was just stay balanced, stay hydrated. And then like the obvious, like don't be smoking, don't be, drinking heavily and shit like that to add more fuel to the fire. And so I don't think there was anything that we did that necessarily caused it or could have prevented it. I think it's just one of those things that just happens. You know what I mean?
Now, you said it typically stays on the thyroid, but do you go through other tests to make sure that your blood's good and everything else?
Yeah, so they'll run some other tests, and I think with the initial like fine needle aspiration, that's kind of where the test came from. So I didn't have to go through and like do blood work initially to see like, oh, well, how are your levels in this, and so. There is a very rare type of thyroid cancer that can move to your bones. And so, you know, we're just hoping that that's not the case.
Exactly.
Because that's a very, very rare case. And then just making sure that, you know, moving forward that it doesn't either spread to the left side. Because then, so they'll take out the right side, and then obviously if they find out that it's spread over to the left side, then they'll have to remove the whole thyroid. If I go with just a lobectomy, and they take out the half of my thyroid, there's a very good chance that I don't even need to be on medicine or anything. And like the medicine is just like a synthetic thyroid medication, you know, that'll help kind of add T3, T4 to your body. Tell yourself, hey, this is when I'm hungry. This is when I need to rest. This is, you know, so, but I think the things that were in my corner is like, A, I'm young, I'm fairly healthy, and B, I'm not feeling those other things that kind of get attributed with thyroid cancer and stuff. So no major weight gain, no major weight loss, no super fatigueness. And so, yeah, like moving forward, I think those are the good things in my corner. You know, initially though, I was also looking at like 90% of them are benign. And so, you know, trying not to focus too much on the percentages and what they could mean. And, oh, I was in this small percentage that gets it and all that shit. I'm just trying to mostly just stay grateful for like, hey, we caught it early. You know,
that's great.
Yeah, we caught it early.
I'm glad you went to the doctor, man, because some people
Amen,
won't.
dude. No, I'm a very, very rarely will I go to the doctor. Usually I'm just like, we're good. We'll just drink some water with it. We'll take some medication, take good care of ourselves, and then, you know, kind of move on and be healthy. But it was like, yeah, it was one of those things where you just trust your intuition. You know, I believe fully that I was trusting my intuition on that one. Maybe the powers that be, the people who were in my corner who are no longer with us, you know, they were probably just like, hey, man, you should get to the doctor. Just go check this out. So when
you get back into the boxing gym, do you want to ever coach again, kickboxing or anything like that?
Yeah. So during the spring and summertime, I do start up a camp at my house, just with like homies and stuff, whatever capacity we can have. I have 4 punching bags. I have a speed bag. I have mitts. I have gloves. I have all the tools at my house to kind of do that on my own whim. I think as far as like a hosting gym, it just kind of it got to the point where it just wasn't necessarily viable during the pandemic, right? So like our first gym closed down when COVID started, and we like limited ourselves. We used to have 30 people in one class, and then we had to like limit it to 10 people only. And what that kind of did was that kind of turned other people away. We were kind of like in the realm of like, should we wear masks while kickboxing and stuff? Like everyone was. And so it really did turn people off to fitness as a whole, because wearing a mask and working out is tough. You know what I mean? That's a cardio workout in its own right. And so from then I just kind of took it over to my house. I just took it to my gym or my outside area. I have a big enough driveway. I have a big enough like property to where we could just kind of spread things out and people could be outside and not have to worry about that so much. And now obviously that we're so far separated from the social distancing norms and shit like that, it's like we're able to just all have it at home. I got some bags over the time. I got a bunch of gloves. I've had gear since, I mean, my headgear is from 2009.
Damn.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I have gloves that I had since I was 14 years old that are just kind of like my gloves that I not still use, but like you hang on to certain trophies and stuff like that. Your first pair of gloves, you know, your first whatever. And so I have all the tools. I think just coming up to the weather getting nice, you know. I turned my garage. My garage was like kind of where I was doing it in the winter time, but I've turned my garage since then into a full studio, and so there's not room in there. So I do have to take it to like my driveway, kind of the outside aspect. So yeah, once spring starts up, I've had a bunch of people be like, "Hey man, can't wait for spring. I'm ready to go right now." And I'm like, I'm not trying to be out there in the cold. You're tripping, dude.
We haven't really had a winter either. Like it's cold, but it's not.
It's been mild.
Yes, we need the precipitation, man. It's so
bad, dude. The air and when we were flying out, so I just did Fuel Fest in Arizona, and when we were flying out, like you hit that like however many thousand feet, and you just like seen it. couldn't even see the city, couldn't see the lights, couldn't see anything. It was just this giant smog that was sitting over us. It was like, man, I can't wait to get out of this.
I don't know how Bountiful and North Salt Lake lives, because coming to the studio, you're going through, once you go up Beck Street, you're going through like the refinery meets the inversion, and it just makes this toxic cloud.
Yeah, you see it. Like I said, you see that flying out of here. You're like, man, I can't believe we're in that right now. And you know, I told Sky too while I was out, I was like, just keep her inside. And then there's times where like I drive out west to go, you know, do my things out there, to go do my chores and shit. And it's beautiful out there. You know what I mean? Out west, it's like the mountains, so like the Ochre and the Wasatch kind of keep it in this bowl that we live in. And it's very hard for that stuff to just kind of disperse and escape. And so it's like, you know, it's nice to go out there sometimes and just get a break from all of that. And I'm sure it feels the same way when you're driving up to like Kimball Junction or Park City, right? You're just above it. You're away from it. Everything can sit in that little dust bowl and do its thing. I mean, for all I know, that's probably why thyroid cancer came around. You know what I'm saying?
Don't say that. Man, now you got me all anxious.
No, dude, you're good. Like I said, you're good.
Like, am I good?
It very rarely happened. And that was the difference between me, right? Like I could feel it. I can still feel it. Like I can still feel the nodule. Like I know it's there. And it was so funny too, because I was getting my fine needle aspiration, right? And like sometimes they have to come in, or, you know, they have to find it. And mine is just right there, right up on the front of my neck. And so they were just like, hey man, thanks for growing this right here. No problem.
Glad I could help.
They got this big old needle in my neck. I'm watching it on the screen. I'm like, this is crazy.
They get into it. It's just an ingrown hair.
Yo, straight up, that's another, like, I don't even think, it's like my voice is a big concern, and obviously that's a low concern. So I'm like, cool. The next thing is like, do I have to shave my beard?
Ooh.
And I'm like, I'm hoping not. I'll just put it up in a little, tie that up, and we'll hopefully be good, you know? But I'm like, damn, that was a question I forgot to ask my doctor too, was like, hey man, what are the chances that because the last thing I want to do is have to shave it, and then my daughter don't recognize me for, 2 months and shit. So I'm just like, all right, dude, let's make sure we can look as normal as possible.
It's like that Cleveland Brown episode where he shaves his mustache and he loses his voice.
Yeah, dude, you just he just doesn't sound like Cleveland anymore, yo. Come on, man. Yeah, Come on, man.
What's going on with Spy Hop? How often are you teaching? How can people get involved with your classes over there and whatnot?
So right now
what is Spy Hop?
So Spy Hop is a youth media program. It's free to students from the ages of 14 to 18. And when I say media, all sorts of media, whether it be film, whether it be web development, whether it be they have a musicology class, which is not necessarily like a hip hop class. But then over the past couple of years, they developed a full year-long course called Resonate, and that's the area that I'm mostly involved in, is Resonate. Last year, they kind of went through some teaching changes, so we were super involved last year. I was there every week. This year, now that we've got like the new teacher, his name's Nick Allred. He's a really cool dude. Definitely been involved in the hip hop community too. And Nick is kind of taking the lead on being their main teacher. And then my job as far as that is to come in and periodically just be like a mentor. And so given the current like tour schedules and stuff, like as it ended this new year, I don't want to say we're less involved, but we don't have to necessarily be there every week. But my job is to go in there and essentially just hear the kids' album, give them direction on which ways they can go with their projects. It's cool because in the previous years, we've just kind of taken the students, lumped them into one giant super group, and then let it just all be posse cuts. This year, what they've done is they've actually taken the 10 students that they have and split them. I think there's 9 students actually, but split them into 3 different groups. So smaller individualized groups that are their goal is to make, about a 10-track project, 8-track project, and then perform throughout the year. So different venues kind of give us the heads up. Kilby Court's a great one. Sartain and Sanders really do good work as far as just what they've done with the venues around town. Soundwell's another good one. The Beehive, we perform there. And then there's a couple different times that they get to perform at like other theaters and stuff for like the annual benefit and all the cool shit that they do. So Spy Hop does really great work, man. And they've blessed me as far as like, we're hip hop heads, we're knuckleheads, you know what I mean? Sometimes they don't know what teacher they're getting into, or when they're deciding to partner up with these people. But Mike is one of the directors, and Larissa, Dan. There's a number of people. Adam. There's a number of people who I guess I could shout out for allowing us that chance to be in there with the kids. But it's just like, yeah, the students, they're on like, some of these students are on their first year, and most of the students are on their third year now at Resonate.
Wow.
You know, and given, like I said, given their teacher switch ups that they had like mid-year last year, they kind of got some turbulence moving into like what their project was going to look like. And so I was wondering what students were going to stay and continue to just take full advantage of the resources they have. I mean, all these kids have an Apollo twin, an Ableton push, and then Ableton and a Mac, you know, like right there at their disposal. And they get to just go in there and record and use whatever mic that they have and just like cool ISO booths and live sounds.
It's a beautiful venue, and I love where they moved. It's in my dad's neighborhood, and it's right off the tracks, like
right there off of 9th, and it's a great facility, man, compared to where they used to be, because they used to be over there by the Gateway.
Yeah, Nat. I don't even go in that neighborhood.
I don't walk that neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? I stay as far.
Once the sun's down, I don't go.
Once it goes to about 4th south and shit, you know what I mean? And whatever west, I'm out. You know, it's because I used to live there. I used to live at the Gateway when the Gateway was more or less like a ghost town.
Yeah.
And it got bad. You know what I mean? It got bad out there. And it's like again, in the work that I'm in, it's like I try not to fully criticize the homeless community, because I'll be honest with you, if I was out there in the winter too, I'd probably be on some shit with no house and no family and no infrastructure in my life. Who knows where I would be, you know? So it's so easy for that to happen. Some people, a lot of people that we know are actually one check away from that being like their reality.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Or one bounce check or one missed day at work away from not being able to say that they have a place to call home. And so I try not to be too critical of that, but also you go down there and it is madness. It is madness, you know? And so, yeah, with Spy Hop being right there and bringing all the students right there, it was just kind of like, man, I don't, you know what I mean?
It's a great move for him.
Yeah, great move for him, great facility, and it's beautiful inside the facility. They have all sorts of markets that they pop up in. There's enough room for everybody. Everybody feels like, I mean, it's as far as what the students feel like, it's a safe space for students to go in there and express themselves. And so with me and with Get It Right and with all that I was doing in the previous, that was just right along the alleyway of what I wanted to get into.
One great example of a product, I mean, there's many examples. I mean, I was a Spy Hop kid at one point.
Yeah.
I went to Central City as well, but are you familiar with an artist by I think he changed his name, but he originally was Danny Boy.
No.
Chicano kid from West Valley. I think he goes by West Valley now.
Okay. Yeah, I know that name.
Chicano kid. I just did a reaction video, but he was a Spy Hop kid. Mike put me onto him. Mike was like, yo, you got to check this kid out.
Right.
And so I checked him out, and
that's the reaction video you just did. It had
just recently.
It just had JR Trill in the video too, right?
No. So it was the one I did right before that.
Right before that one. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
So kid that has message. His flow is different and it's nice. And I think it was another Spy Hop kids that's a visual artist as well for the project.
They shot the video too.
Exactly.
Heck yeah, see.
So if you're looking for a product and like, I don't know what these kids can do or what they, you know, what it is, look at that type of artist, because that program helped shape that artist.
Right.
And what he's doing now, what he's learned, obviously he's aged out, but now he's applying that in this.
In the real world
exactly.
aspect. And that's what I think that's my biggest job as an independent artist who is a continuing working artist. I think that's my biggest like goal for the students. It's like, yeah, we can show you how to write. We can show you how to do this. My job is to also come in there and say, this is how you apply it. Mm-hmm. This is how you apply it, because there's going to come a time where, like you said, you age out of Spy Hop, and then you don't have the Mac Studio, and then you don't have the Apollo Twin, and you don't have the resources that Spy Hop does get to provide to these students. And so how can you take that and take it into your own? And then what does that mean to go out there and get yourself booked, to go out there and throw your own showcases, to go out there and learn not only music structure alone, because that's a huge thing. We just did a career day at Decker Lake for the correctional youth, right? So we go out to their correctional facility, and I'm teaching all these kids kind of like the fast track of like, what's the difference between being an independent versus major label, you know, and what resources do these guys kind of provide for versus as being an independent? What do you kind of have to pick up in that aspect? And I was missing that, like, wait, they just need like a breakdown of like what's a 16 and what's a bar and how can we measure that in order to get my song structure out. So it's like I didn't want to necessarily dive too much into music theory, and because I alone am learning music theory all the time for myself. So like notes wise on the piano and stuff, I'm not going to be able to necessarily say, okay, well, that's a third harmony and that's a seventh. And this is how you kind of structure major and minor chords or whatever, because it's like, no, let's just get into how do we count? What's BPM mean in your flow? And like, how does that add to what a 16 is and what measures kind of look like? And so that because I was guilty of it as well, where like I would just write long run on bars.
Yeah.
Long run on bars. There would be no hook. I would just rap from basically 0 seconds to 3 minutes and no hook, no kind of breakdown to give myself a little bit of ease when it came to this is how a song's created, you know? And so I think that's where we kind of took it after about like the third class. We were just like, all right, I need to restructure this in a way that can break down like this is a 16.
What do you hope to get out of or what's the goal with meeting kids at like Decker Lake? Is it just to give them the knowledge, or are you building up for something bigger?
Yeah, I think the knowledge. I mean, Day One and those guys and Nate, you know, from Mike Masters, and a lot of these guys have also kind of jumped on. So I'm not the only artist I can say that's in there. So it's not necessarily like my plan, but I think me as an individual, it was like just to inspire the kids that like, hey, music's the way to get your message out. Because a lot of these kids have a way different message than the kids at Spy Hop.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, or way more serious charges. You know, some kids that we met, and obviously I'm not here to say any names because we're still kids and stuff, but there are some kids that we met in there that will just be transferred straight over to the prison. You know what I mean? So they're only at Decker Lake because they're young.
Yeah.
And then they're going to move their way on up. But it's just like, you know, how many times have we heard as hip-hop artists some dude get out and have a full album, and that album takes them somewhere?
Yep.
You know, Lefty Gunplay, right? Like, I don't even listen to Lefty, but what I do know is that he was incarcerated for a long time, so he probably had a long time to write, and has a whole other experience that he can talk about. And again, just going back to what I truly believe as being an artist is like, this is alchemy at its finest, right? How can we take the most negative, darkest days of our way, turn them into a dope song, and now all of a sudden that's a party? You know what I mean? That's an anthem. That's a positive when it was just such a dark negative at first. But because of the music, that was the way you could abracadabra, change it over, and now all of a sudden it's something that people can listen to and resonate to and vibe with. And so, you know, again, just going back into, we're alchemists. That's what we do with that.
Is Zac Ivie proud of himself?
Yeah.
Why?
I wouldn't say pride is probably my biggest way to say it, but I think I'm on the right track. I think I'm proud that we're still doing it after all these years, given the, you know, like what we were kind of talking about earlier, whether it was so-and-so who doesn't like the idea that we're booked this much, or maybe it was, you know, I've got a beautiful family. I've got people who care about me in my corner. I've got music that I can say I'm proud of. I've done certain things that I wouldn't say that I didn't believe I could do, but it seemed like a pipe dream at first. You know what I mean? And so I think in that aspect, I'm really proud of just like that I have good friends, that I have a better understanding of who I am as an artist, in the artistry aspect of things, and then just taking on so much as one human, you know. I think another thing too is just like, even given the current health scares and stuff, like I wake up and still do my gratitudes. I wake up and I still, you know, tell people who I do love that I love them, and I'm not allowing things to kind of just go the other way. You know what I mean? Because everybody can get into the woe is me, you know, kind of attitude. And I thought about that for a couple of days. I thought, man, I'm like, fucking me, man.
Yeah.
Like, God damn it, you know, like why? You know, you ask the divine whatever you believe in, like, why? And I think it wasn't just like I switched my perspective from why to just like thank you for giving me a plan. Because I do live in 2024 where modern medicine is crazy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? There are so many different resources. I do live in Utah where we have some of the best cancer facilities in the world.
Yeah.
I am grateful for the fact that, you know, like, I'm not super tired. I didn't all of a sudden gain hella weight or lose hella weight. Like, I'm not experiencing other symptoms in that aspect. And, like, I can still wake up and just say, you know what, like, life is good, dude. Life is sick. And so when I say, I guess when I'm saying, yeah, I'm proud of myself, it's just like, hell yeah, we've built this because I've done it in different aspects. Like with boxing, I had Roy Jones Jr. ref one of my fights, and in the middle of the ring threw a jab, and Roy Jones Jr. went, nice jab. And I was like, hell yeah, that's the man right there saying nice jab, and he's supposed to be the ref. You know what I mean? Yeah. Evander Holyfield was a judge for one of my fights. Sweet Pea Whitaker was a judge for one of my fights. Pernell Whitaker's a unified champion. Yeah. You know what I mean? Evander Holyfield's the same way. Riddick Bowe. There have been a number of people that I've gotten to meet in any aspect of my life to where it's just like, yeah, dude, but we do that. I think it's just it's hard work, it's personality, I'm a big believer in knowing when to turn rapper on and turn rapper off. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And get real with people and be a human just like the rest of us, you know, out here. And I think that's a big that throws a wrench in a lot of people's business. And when I say business, like why they either get booked again or why they don't get booked again, it's just because it's like I from an early age took on the understanding of just like of punctuality, being on time, being, you know, cordial with people, or getting, you know, just getting the point across that, like I said, we're not different. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe differences of languages and other cultural backgrounds and shit like that. But at the end of the day, it's just like we're humans. We can level with each other. And so I think as far as that, it's just like I owe that all to my mom and my stepdad, my pops. It like they really taught me like that first. You know what I mean? To not be out here judging people because you have more or have less than them. Yeah. But I think, you know, in that aspect, it's like, yeah, man, I'm really proud that I was able to let that stick. You know, because then that just that transfers to all other aspects of my life. So
hell yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm proud of you, bro. I'm proud of you.
Don't make me cry, man. Do that.
No, I think it's important.
I ain't trying to cry on the interview.
Yeah. No, it's important to tell people that, right? Like, yeah, it's important to especially if you genuinely appreciate somebody, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's very important to be like, yo, like, you're doing cool shit, man. You're a cool dad. You know what I mean? And
dude, you and I have always had that understanding, man. Whether it's been on a podcast or whatever, because I'm sure you get a lot of people who hit you up because of the platform you have, of course. Only. Yeah. But it's just like, again, watching you and being able to message my homie Dre Rawka and be like, man, them push-ups be looking good on you, dog. Yeah. Like, I'm very proud of you too, dude, because it's just like you said, it's just you're a voice for the community, but not only a voice for the community, but like you are community. Mm-hmm. You know, you yourself are a great father, yeah. and I look up to great fathers. I have good fathers around me. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was in a position when, you know, my biological dad, and it took me so long to realize this, because, you know, when my mom met my dad, he was a completely different person, right? And then certain things happened that took him down the route that many of us have maybe gone down before or refused to go down, but it took him down the route of drug use. Mm-hmm. And from drug use came other types of abuses that my mom was very fortunate to escape from. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I got the best of both worlds. I had a dad who, at the age of 10, like, stopped coming around, stopped picking me up to go with him on the weekends, and then it was like once a year, and then it was just eventually like for 15 years we didn't talk. I didn't see him, and that was boxing was a huge outlet for me because there was a lot of anger in that aspect. I was very fortunate enough that she met my stepdad, because my stepdad, we didn't have stepbrothers and shit growing up. Those were my brothers. Mm-hmm. And I got to learn that from an early age, but I also got to deal with like the whole not having a bio dad, you know, while like my cousin was in a similar situation, but his dad was always coming around. We were going to his dad's house. Mm. And so, yeah, man, I think just looking at like looking at good fathers around me, looking at people who know how to be there for their kids and also know how to continue to do the things that they love and foster their own growth and their own aspirations. It's just like it's huge, man. So I mean, when you're saying that to me, it's just because I'm a mirror of what's around me.
Mm-hmm.
Like
we all
like
are,
you
bro.
here, yeah.
They say you are the company you keep, right?
Absolutely.
So it's important to keep good company.
Absolutely.
I have some knucklehead friends. Those are the ones I don't bring around the
Hell
bar.
yeah, dude. Hell yeah, I got some knucklehead friends.
But those are the knucklehead friends that I've been down with. We've had experiences.
When
like,
I was a knucklehead,
Yeah,
hell yeah.
exactly.
So I'm not gonna judge that either. You know what I mean? I think there's a good balance in having those friends because it also just reminds you of the funness of life, the carefreeness of life, I should say. A lot of those friends of mine are like, yeah, they're a little crazy and stuff, but do I feel like they're bad people? No. They're just knuckleheads, you know, like, yeah, that's the word for it.
I want to see you act more because the Christmas joint that you guys did,
yeah.
really
yeah.
good.
Yeah. I like that. Shouts out to Amulet Beard, man. And they're doing a toy drive right now. And I know Chris is kind of on it, and so is Alex. But they're gathering toys and stuff, and so any products that you do buy from Amulet Beard will also help fund the toy drive to give toys to those who may not have so much. So
it's dope, man.
You know what I mean? But yeah, that shit's fun. They kind of give me free reign to just like go in there and act and do whatever, and so it's like it's very rarely are they scripted events, but I feel like I'm pretty solid at when it comes down to
improv
and shit. Improv.
Have you ever done improv?
No.
I think you would be. I mean, you are great at it. We've seen it. But
Yeah.
Like to actually go and do like an improv show.
Yeah, I'd be terrified. I don't know why that terrifies me so much, but like comedy and stuff, that terrified.
I can't. When Benelli was here, I was like, I'm so close to, cause I have material, bro. Like you laugh at tragedy. You talk about your biological being a substance abuser.
Yeah.
My mom was my biological mom, same way.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
She chose The Rock over me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
I feel that.
But there's funny stories within that. And
yeah.
So I was telling my dad, and my dad's probably gonna hate me for saying this because my dad, that was his first love. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But I was telling my dad, I was like, ironically, Dad, you left my mom. You gave my dad gave my mom the ultimatum. Hey, my dad was doing drugs too. I want a better life for my son.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go out to Portland, live with my cousin for a little bit. I'm taking Andre. Do you want to come? And she was like, no. And so we went out to Portland, lived in Portland for 10 years. My dad got clean and everything like that. And it's funny. The funny part of it, and I'm still trying to work this bit out, it's like, Mom, ironically, all drugs are legal in Portland. So
yeah, no shit. Now, you would have thought now, dude. 10 years now, you'd have been like, hey, it ain't that bad, dog. Exactly. We're chilling. That's a good setup. That's a good setup.
I'm trying to construct this bit, but there's funniness within that tragedy. I'm trying to convince Beans and Rice to host an improv show because they're
amazing.
Yeah,
you know what I
so
mean?
Funny.
Those guys improving alone too. Some of the times I'm like, was that scripted or whatever? And they just fire off. But that also is what happens when you hang around people enough. You just you start to get it. And so, shouts out Beans and Rice, dude. Yeah, the Puerto Rican, yeah, dude, and Josue and Javi and all those guys are really great at what they do, man. I love being on that. That was probably one of the funnest podcasts, I should say, that I've been on.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Those guys are amazing at what they do. I think and I agree in that aspect of like, man, especially given all this, like given the high chances of it being cancerous and all that shit. It's like if I forget something or whatever, I'm just like, oh my bad, that's my thyroid. You know, I named it. It was like Nigel the Nodule and shit like that. I was like out here just joking through it. But like, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. What else are you gonna do? And I read a book one time by a dude named what was his name? The book's called The Things They Carried, and it kind of hit me at home because Grandpa was a Vietnam vet, and they talk about, you know, like the things that they carried in their packs that they could, because they didn't want to be super weighed down. They couldn't just take everything from home or whatever. And so they talk about like the things they carried that brought them comfort throughout that entire conflict, that entire war. And I started thinking about back to like how my grandpa was always joking about just like the most crazy shit. You know what I mean? Like the most crazy shit. Something would happen and he'd be sitting there joking. So when he was kind of like on his later days or whatever, you know, he'd be laying there with the catheter in, and he was talking about the nurse who put it in, and I was like, and he's like, and she winked at me, you know what I mean, or whatever. Yeah. And it's just like my grandpa actually coded one time on the table in 2016. Heart completely stopped, died for like 7 minutes, came back. They brought him back. And he's telling my mom, he's like, he's like, when I died, I saw the devil. And my mom was like, what? And he's like, and he said, you girls better start listening to me. And like, just joking, you know what I mean? He said some other things too that we won't say on the air because it's a little political, but he just was like so funny about it. And it was just like, hell yeah, man. Like, that's the way to do it.
Have you seen Jamie Foxx's new special?
No, not yet, but I heard it's pretty good.
In your situation, you got to watch this.
Okay.
You got to watch it. And especially with that joke that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Can I spoil just one?
Go ahead, dude. I'm down. I don't care.
Jamie Foxx said he died.
Yeah.
And he looked down and he seen a dark hole. He said he seen the devil. It was actually Diddy.
Yeah, dude. You see what I'm saying? No Diddy, dude.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious. But watch that special.
Yeah.
It's not like a set up punchline laugh, special. It's him telling his story about how he almost died.
Well, because everyone was talking too, like he was I remember him saying, "You thought they fucking cloned me and shit." You know what I mean? And it's just
but the tattoo's missing on the back of his head.
Would he get that shit off?
I don't know. Where's the tattoo?
Jamie Foxx, where's the tattoo, bro?
Yeah, man.
Where's the tattoo? No, I hear that, man. And and again, dude, just laughing kind of through tragedy. I think that's one of the hugest powers that comedians have over any other media outlet. Is like comedians can just get it, dude. They can just get it. And I listen to, I've listened to my fair share of comedy podcasts and stuff, Kill Tony, all those other ones. And so it's just like you hear that and you hear the. I've been in both worlds. I've been in the open poetry, like the slam poetry world, where it's like shit just gets dark, and you're just like, oh shit. But then also like listening to the comedy world, where it's like shit got dark and then got hilarious because of it. You know what I mean? And that's a huge strength. Again, just tying it back to alchemy. How can you turn your darkest shit into your best joke?
So, is the next project gonna center around this moment in life?
I don't necessarily want to give it more attention than I necessarily need. It changed everything. It changed everything and changed nothing at the same time. You know what I mean? Internally, I think my brain was like, again, just wow, we got another 24. Here we are.
Yeah,
sick. But also like, I know way too many people whose diagnosis has no choice but to become their whole life. You know what I mean? Let's look at Donnie Benelli, for instance, like where his cancer returned, his tongue cancer came back, and then certain things ended up spreading to his spine, which took away his ability to walk. And Donnie's a fighter.
Yeah.
I might get emotional again. But yeah, like him being like, yo, man, you're in my thoughts. I'm like, no, you're in mine. You know what I mean? Like my shit's easy.
Yeah.
This, from my understanding, all my doctors have been like, yo, dog, you hit the cancer lottery. You could have had this or melanoma, and you're totally cool. And so it's just like, yeah, man, you see shit like that where, my bad.
No, you're good, brother. It's real. It's real.
Yeah, man. Too many kids. I mean, we went to, when my daughter was born, she was breached, so they thought she might have hip dysplasia. And so, we walked into primary care and yeah, my bad.
No, you're good, brother.
Yeah, we went into primary care and we got to, looking around and shit. We're just there for like an X-ray, and you see these kids sitting there with like tubes hanging out of them and shit.
Yeah,
and you're just like, even if I got to live 32 years, hell yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. So, yeah, I'm incredibly grateful, man. I'm incredibly grateful that it's not something worse.
Yeah,
and having Donnie reach out to me and be like, hey, bro, it's just like, now you could take all of mine too.
Yeah.
Anybody who's sending it my way, send it to Donnie too, because my shit's easy.
Yeah,
I'm not too concerned about. This isn't a terminal illness that I'm looking at. This is pretty localized, and so it's just like, yeah, man, you start to see, the homie who's going through it way worse sending you out love when you know that he needs it.
Yep. Benelli's working on a joke right now when he's listening to this.
Yeah, he probably laughing. You crybaby ass motherfucker. And that's one thing that I'll say about me too is like I've always worn my heart on my sleeve, so I'm never afraid of this shit. I know as men, as an ex-boxer and shit, we'll be like, oh man, don't cry, you know what I mean, or whatever. It's just like, fuck that, dude. I'm gonna be out there. I'm gonna be emotional a little bit, and I think that's a strength. I think that's a huge strength that I have, and you know, again, like I said, there are plenty of people out there who have faced way more than I have at earlier years.
Yeah.
You know, kids born with leukemia or other serious things.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm looking at what I have, it did change everything. And then also I was just like, dude, I don't even need to focus on this because it's going to be one surgery. 10 days later, I'm back getting ready for tour.
Yeah, you're on tour. Like that's yeah.
You know, if I can stand up there on tour and be like, hey y'all, I battled this. You could battle that, then that's what God intended for me. You know what I mean?
Last time I cried, this might sound silly. Last time I cried, I was watching a movie. I think it's on Paramount. It's called Dear Santa. Have you seen this with Jack Black?
No, but I had another homie who was saying he cried over the same movie though.
I'm watching it with my kids,
Yeah.
bro. And there's a moment in this movie, the kid's brother passed away. Young kid.
Yeah.
His brother passed away. And his only Christmas wish is that he got his brother back. And he ends up getting his brother back.
Oh, man. Give it to me. You know what I mean?
I lost my brother and my sister.
Give it to me, yep.
So
I lost my sister right before Grandpa, yep.
So it's like, and losing life in general, it's just weird and you handle it differently. But losing a sibling, like that was crazy.
So wild, man. So wild.
And the universe is funny because he gave me my daughter who is exactly like my sister.
And didn't even know your sister, I'm sure.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? And Dumb Luck, too, I get to watch, you know, because Dumb Luck lost his brother and his dad. And some of the jokes he was saying on tour about that shit. And I was just like, you know, but it just is like such a strength in that aspect of like where I see my boy, you know, who got to walk through that and got to, and is still growing from that. It's still, you know, but being able to, again, just not necessarily joke about it, but that's his strength. That is his way. That is his coping mechanism. And so it's like the same thing, man. I hope to take those same strengths that Donnie has or any number of us who are facing anything have and turn it into something like a good song. Now am I going to write a song about my thyroid? Hell no. You know what I mean? That's going to be a corny song, I feel like. But will I eventually use maybe a bar or something to kind of just give it a place, give it a rhyme, and then, you know, send it on its way? I think that's a possibility. Yeah,
I want to hear bars from the point of view of your thyroid.
Me boxing my thyroid, dude. I said, yo, because like, you know how like when some people get their wisdom teeth out, they get that shit back, right?
Yeah.
Like I want them to just in a little vial have my thyroid, and we're about to go set it on fire out somewhere in the street. You know what I mean?
Damn thyroid.
Damn thyroids, dude.
All right, let's put a ribbon. It's been an hour and a half. Let's put a ribbon on this.
Yep.
Where can we follow the tour? What's your social media? Anything else you want to plug?
Yeah. So I plugged two of them. First of all, Zac Ivie on all platforms, and you'll find out all about the tour from both pages. But I also want to shout out it's Street Sweepers SLC on Instagram. That's our new Instagram for the Street Sweepers. All things Street Sweepers will be posted there as far as merch is concerned, as far as the tour as well. And then, you know, you'll be able to hear new music within the new year. I've got a couple things coming out when the new year starts. So whether it be the new metal project that we're kind of working out, I think we're working on dropping some singles. And then also January, February, you're going to hear all the Street Sweeper stuff coming out. So, yeah, man.
Definitely check out Street Sweepers, Zac Ivie, ZAC, no K, no H.
Nope, Ivie. That's the last name, baby. Yep.
So go check him out. Do you want to plug the printing or not?
Yeah, I mean we can plug Organized Movements, right? Obviously, that's the clothing brand, and then the Source Manufacturing, the Source _MFG, and that's the print product. But any number of people, go check out Amulet Beard, go check out Spy Hop, go check out my dude Dre Rawka and All Rock and all the people, the beautiful people that we talked about earlier. You know, Donnie Benelli's a great artist, great MC, as well as a funny comedian. I'll even shouts out to House of Lewis for being there. Dumb Lucky on Instagram as well. He's kind of the master behind the beats and a really good friend of mine. And then Ocelot Sucks. That's the other homie of the Street Sweepers. So, catch us on tour near you in February. We're going to be coming back to Urban Lounge the 13th of February. And then from there, the tour will travel on. So
Dumb Luck, by the way, he defended his title at Mike Masters.
I knew it, dude. I knew it, dude.
Can I have the chain?
No,
I know you ain't wearing that chain.
Talked about it. He wears it every day, dude. Oh, every day. He'll be reminding you till he's blue in the face. He'll be like, 2-time champion. I'm like, I got you. Yeah, 2-time battle rap champ.
You gotta call him Dummy 2 times.
Yeah, Dummy 2 times. 2 times. 2 times.
All right, definitely go follow all the homies. And if you want to buy some merch, I told you I got these Weight Down Credit Up hoodies and t-shirts on the website. I got the, for all my WWE wrestling fans, I got the Unrestricted Survivor Series tees up on the website as well. Check out the Figure 4 podcast where me and my good friend Will Wonder, we talk wrestling. So if you're a pro wrestling fan, we have a lot of fun there. Check it out, allrock.com. Check out Waldo too. I don't know if it's Temptation Marketing no more. He's Waldo's World on Instagram. He's switching things up. And thank you again to everybody that came through, got your family photos for the fundraiser that we did for his niece. It was very successful. So we appreciate everybody that came out. Really do. Hope you guys have the day you deserve. Always protect your light. We're out. Peace. Did you have any issues finding the place?
No.
Sometimes people, they take it to the karate dojo across the street.
Yeah.
Like, are you at the karate place? It's like, no, but
I
wish.
Come on in.
I wish I was at this karate spot.
Come get your red belt right now, dog.
Do you miss kickboxing or boxing?
Yeah, man. I mean, I definitely have my moments where I'm like, man, maybe we could just get one more. You know what I mean? Maybe we could just get one more in. And then, reality hits. Boxing's a young man's sport. Then you see Mike Tyson get beat up by Jake Paul, and you're like, well, you know what I mean?
Maybe not today. Yeah.
Maybe not today.
All right, man. You ready?
Yeah, let's do this, bro.